Question 1. The primary reason for adopting Machine Creation Services (MCS) or Provisioning Services (PVS) a project was a concern about introducing new streaming infrastructure. However, the environment has unpredictable storage latency spikes. Which design approach would best address this? A. Use MCS with storage-optimized write-back caching RAM with overflow to disk. B. Switch to PVS with dedicated streaming NICs. C. Use MCS with personal vDisks to mitigate EO impact. D. Implement PVS over shared XC storage. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. MCS with write-back cache in RAM with overflow to disk minimizes IPS during latency spikes, leveraging local cache before hitting shared storage. B. PVS could work but contradicts the original concern about streaming infra. C. Personal vDisks address personalization, not storage spikes. D. PVS over XC doesn't solve the infrastructure avoidance objective and adds complexity. Question 2. In the absence of a dedicated graphics card, a Citrix architect needs to optimize HDX for multimedia-heavy workloads without overloading the CPU. What's the most effective configuration? A. Enable H.264 decompression in thin-wire mode. B. Enable legacy thin-wire for maximum compatibility. C. Disable video redirection entirely to conserve bandwidth. D. Force all rendering server-side to simplify decoding. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Legacy thin-wire provides efficient CPU edge without GPU support, balancing multimedia demands with server resource constraints. A. H.264 decompression is DPU-friendly, but may overload CPUs. C. Disabling video redirection hurts user experience. D. Full server-side rendering increases EPU strain, especially with heavy multimedia workloads. Question 3. When faced with multiple remote branches connected via high-latency WAN links, Alvarez is deciding on storefront deployment. Which design maximizes resilience and reduces user logon delays? A. Centralized storefront with NetScaler optimal gateway routing. B. Local storefront servers at each branch with replication. C. Single storefront in HQ with DLB for redundancy. D. Storefront on delivery controllers at HQ only. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. GLB enables a global load balancing and site failover without deploying storefront at every branch, balancing resilience with manageability. A. Optimal gateway routing helps routing but not resilience. B. Local deployments increase complexity and maintenance burden. D. HQ only risks significant delays during WAN issues. Question 4. Through careful analysis of user profile growth, Bennett identifies excessive logon times caused by profile bloating from redirected folders. What's the optimal solution? A. Enable profile streaming and exclude large folders from sync. B. Switch to local profiles to improve speed. C. Redirect all folders to network shares. D. Use mandatory profiles for all users. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Profile streaming allows just-in-time loading, reducing logon delays, and excluding large folders prevents bloating. B. Local profiles lose roaming capability. C. Redirecting all folders may worsen network dependency. D. Mandatory profiles remove personalization and may degrade UX. Question 5. The central argument for implementing Federated Authentication Service (FAS) is to provide single sign-on for external SaaS applications while maintaining security. Which supporting configuration is most critical? A. Smart card authentication at the NetScaler gateway. B. Certificate-based authentication from FAS to delivery controllers. C. Pass-through authentication via storefront only. D. Username password authentication directly to VDAS. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. FAS relies on certificate-based authentication between FAS and delivery controllers for seamless SSO integration. A. Smart cards are optional, not core. C. Storefront pass-through alone won't secure SOS SSO. D. Direct username password to VDAS IPAS's FOS's certificate trust model. Question 6. Considering the evidence from monitoring director Chen observes a spike in session bandwidth during morning logons. Which advanced HEX optimization should be prioritized? A. Enable adaptive display and multimedia acceleration. B. Pre-cache user profiles on delivery controllers. C. Implement session reliability to stabilize connections. D. Restrict clipboard redirection for all users. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Adaptive display dynamically adjusts graphics quality based on available bandwidth, reducing peaks, while multimedia acceleration offloads media handling. B. Pre-caching profiles isn't core HEX bandwidth control. C. Session reliability aids stability, not bandwidth reduction. D. Clipboard restrictions have negligible impact on bandwidth spikes. Question 7. Given the circumstances of a multi-data center design, ISTA-GUPTA must ensure that VDA registration is always directed to the local delivery controller first. Which is the correct advanced configuration? A. Modify VDA ListOx to prioritize local controllers. B. Enable auto-update for delivery controller list only. C. Configure DNS round-robin across all controllers. D. UGLB to balance controller connections globally. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. ListOx ensures VDAS attempt local controller registration first, minimizing latency. B. Auto-update alone doesn't enforce locality. C. DNS round-robin ignores site preference. D. GLB is for global balancing, not site priority controller registration. Question 8. From a practical standpoint, Irving wants to reduce printer driver conflicts in a mixed device environment. Which Citrix printing solution best meets this? A. Universal print server with universal driver enforcement. B. Native printer driver mapping for each user device. C. Disable printing redirection entirely. D. Install all possible drivers on VDAS. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Ups with universal driver enforcement standardizes print output, reducing compatibility issues across varied devices. B. Native mapping increases driver management burden. C. Disabling printing removes functionality. D. Installing all drivers increases complexity and risk of instability. Question 9. By evaluating performance metrics, ISTA Santos finds that published apps respond slowly despite low server CPU age. Which underlying factor is most likely at fault? A. Disk heal bottlenecks impacting session responsiveness. B. Misconfigured CPU finity for app processors. C. HES graphics settings set to lossless mode. D. Lack of GPU acceleration for 3D apps. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Lossless mode forces high-quality rendering and can delay screen updates even with OEPU age. A. Disk heal bottlenecks cause general slowness, but not isolated to graphics. B. CPU finity misconfig impact CPU-bound apps, not all. D. GPU acceleration helps 3 but may not be relevant for all apps. Question 10. Under the assumption that a Doctor site must serve as active-active with the primary, which NetScaler load balancing feature ensures seamless user access during site failover? A. Content switching with static routing. B. GLB with proximity-based load balancing. C. Direct server return for session persistence. D. Round-robin balancing across both sites. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. GLB with proximity ensures users connect to the nearest site and failover seamlessly during outages. A. Content switching is for directing based on content, not Opta. C. Direct server return bypasses NetScaler persistence logic. D. Round-robin ignores site health and latency. Question 11. When considering network latency issues, Lopez needs to design XenDesktop environment for remote users with intermittent connectivity. What configuration should she prioritize to maintain session persistence? A. Enable session reliability with a high timeout value. B. Disable session reliability to force immediate disconnects. C. Use Citrix ACK with basic load balancing only. D. Force auto log off after 1 minute of disconnect. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Session reliability keeps user sessions active despite brief network interruptions, improving UX during intermittent connectivity. B. Disabling it would cause session drops, harming users. C. Basic load balancing doesn't address session persistence. D. Immediate log-off disrupts workflow and wastes resources. Question 12. Based on the information about user personas, Mr. Wang notices a group requiring high CPU-intensive applications on portable devices. Which FlexGast model best suits this group? A. Published apps on shared XenApp servers. B. Hosted VDI desktops with GPU acceleration. C. Local apps installed on endpoint devices. D. Published desktop without personalization. Answer. Correct answer, C. Explanation. High EPU demands on portable devices often require local processing for performance and offline capability. A. Shared XenApp servers might lack EPU for intensive apps. B. Hosted VDI offloads EPU to server but limits portability. D. Published desktops lack flexibility and personalization. Question 13. With respect to security, Ahmed plans to implement multi-factor authentication (MFA) for external users connecting through Netscaler Gateway. Which integration provides the best user experience? A. Use radius authentication combined with client certificates. B. Enable LDAP-only authentication. C. Require password only with IP restrictions. D. Use basic authentication wiki. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Combining radius, often supporting MFA tokens, and client certificates create strong, seamless authentication. B. LDAP alone lacks MFA. C. Password only with IP restrictions is weak security. D. Bay HTTP authentication is insecure and outdated. Question 14. Among the various load balancing techniques, which approach best supports geographic redundancy and local failover for delivery controllers? A. Configure GLB with health checks and proximity-based routing. B. UDNS round-robin with no health monitoring. C. Load balance controllers via single-site Netscaler. D. Manual DNS updates during failover. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. DNS sound robin without health checks risks sending traffic to failed sites. A DLB is correct for geographic redundancy, but the question asks which approach is worst for local failover. B. Is that C. Single site load balancing doesn't support geographic failover. D. Manual DNS is slow and error prone. Question 15. During the process of image management, Fernandez wants to reduce storage consumption while ensuring fast rollback capabilities for XenApp servers. Which method best achieves this? A. Use machine creation services with linked clones. B. Use full clones with provisioning services. C. Deploy persistent desktops with personal vDisks. D. Use unmanaged VM snapshots. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Persistent desktops with personal vDisks allow user data preservation with quick rollbacks but at higher storage cost than linked clones. A. CS-linked clones save storage but don't preserve personalization well. B. Full clones consume more storage. D. VM snapshots are not supported for production rollback. Question 16. Throughout the course of configuring Citrix policies, Mr. Patel notices some users experience excessive bandwidth use during peak hours. What policy setting best mitigates this? A. Enable cost policies to delay HDX bandwidth per user. B. Disable session reliability. C. Enable audio compression to lossless mode. D. Increase frame rate to improve video quality. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. Disabling session reliability can reduce bandwidth during reconnects but risk session drops. A. COS is ideal but may not be available in all environments. C. Lossless audio compression increases bandwidth. D. Increasing frame rate increases bandwidth, worsening congestion. Question 17. In the modern context of Citrix profile management, which approach minimizes logon times while preserving user personalization across multiple devices? A. Use profile streaming with folder redirection. B. Mandatory profiles with no redirection. C. Local profiles only. D. Roaming profiles with all folders redirected. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Roaming profiles combined with folder redirection preserve personalization and ensure consistent user experience but can increase logon time if not optimized. A profile streaming reduces logon times but may not fully preserve personalization. B. Mandatory profiles restrict personalization. C. Local profiles lack roaming capabilities. Question 18. To illustrate this point, Mr. Johnson wants to troubleshoot EDA registration failures. Which log source is the most effective to begin diagnostics? A. Event viewer on the delivery controller servers. B. Citrix Scout logs collected from VDAS. C. Storefront iOS logs. D. NetScaler gateway audit logs. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Storefront iOS logs indicate user authentication and enumeration issues, but don't show EDA registration problems directly. A. Event viewer on controller shows registration errors. B. Scout logs are useful but complex to interpret initially. D. Gateway logs cover external access, not registration. Here, C is least helpful, so wrong answer. The correct answer is A. Question 19. Taking into account the growing number of users, Kim wants to scale XenApp servers while avoiding session density drops. Which approach best supports this? A. Implement CPU pinning for critical processes. B. Disable memory overcommitment on hypervisors. C. Enable session limits and load evaluation policies. D. Use static user assignment per server. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Static user assignment reduces contention, maintaining session density but reduces flexibility. A. CPU pinning may improve performance but reduces scheduler efficiency. B. Memory overcommitment allows more VMS but risks swapping. C. Session limits help but don't directly improve density. Question 20. Considering the evidence from a recent audit, Mr. Evans discovers that administrative changes are not logged. What is the best practice to ensure proper auditing of configuration changes? A. Enable configuration logging on delivery controllers. B. Use Windows event forwarding exclusively. C. Rely on periodic manual backups. D. Enable auditing only on storefront servers. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Manual backups do not provide real-time audit trails. Configuration logging on delivery controllers is the best practice to track admin changes. B. Windows event forwarding helps aggregate logs, but doesn't replace configuration logging. D. Storefront auditing is insufficient alone. Thus A is correct, not C. Question 21. With the advent of increasing mobile users, Taylor needs to design profile management to minimize login delays while preserving offline access. Which configuration best meets this requirement? A. Enable profile streaming with offline folder redirection. B. Use mandatory profiles without redirection. C. Disable profile streaming and use roaming profiles only. D. Use local profiles exclusively for mobile users. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Profile streaming reduces login time by loading parts of the profile on demand. Combined with offline folder redirection, it preserves offline access for mobile users. B. Mandatory profiles restrict personalization and reduce flexibility. C. Roaming profiles without streaming increase login time. D. Local profiles don't roam and fail mobile use cases. Question 22. In an effort to improve XenApp session density, Mr. Nguyen wants to reduce resource contention caused by multimedia redirection. What's the most effective policy? A. Disable multimedia redirection to reduce CPU usage. B. Enable client-side rendering for multimedia content. C. Limit user sessions to 10 per server. D. Disable audio redirection for all users. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Disabling audio redirection reduces server CPU and bandwidth load, improving session density. A. Disabling all multimedia redirection increases server load. B. Client-side rendering offloads processing but may increase bandwidth. C. Session limits cap users but don't address multimedia resource use. Question 23. From a historical standpoint, Mr. Roberts is deploying a multi-site storefront setup. Which configuration ensures users connect to the nearest available site automatically? A. Implement GLB with proximity-based routing. B. UDNS round-robin without health checks. C. Configure storefront in active-passive mode only. D. Deploy a single global storefront server. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation GLB with proximity-based routing directs users to the closest healthy site, optimizing performance and availability. B. Round robin ignores site health and location. C. Active-passive mode lacks load distribution. D. Single server risks performance and failover issues. Question 24. Across different scenarios, ISDIAS notices slow logon times caused by profile synchronization issues. What advanced settings should she configure to improve this? A. Exclude large temporary folders from profile sync. B. Use local profiles without redirection. C. Disable folder redirection entirely. D. Enforce mandatory profiles for all users. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Excluding large or volatile folders from sync reduces synchronization overhead, speeding logons. B. Local profiles don't roam. C. Disabling redirection increases profile size and sync time. D. Mandatory profiles prevent personalization and don't solve sync issues. Question 25. While examining VDA registration failures, ISDASync finds VDAS unable to contact delivery controllers after a network update. What is the most likely cause? A. Firewall blocking required ports between VDAS and controllers. B. Incorrect user permissions in Active Directory. C. Outdated Citrix receiver on client devices. D. Storefront misconfiguration. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. VDAS requires specific TCP ports open to communicate with delivery controllers. Firewall blocks are common causes of registration failure. B. User permissions don't affect EDA registration. C. Receiver issues affect client access, not EDA registration. D. Storefront is unrelated to VDA registration. Question 26. The fundamental question is how to optimize HEX traffic over a constrained WAN for remote users watching training videos. Which policy setting is best? A. Enable adaptive transport with EP preferred. B. Force TCP early transport mode. C. Disable multimedia redirection for video. D. Increase frame rate to maximum. Answer. Correct answer. B. Explanation. For constrained WANs, TCP transport is more reliable, though less efficient than UPET. Reducing packet loss for video is optimized for LAN or reliable networks. C. Disabling multimedia redirection worsens video experience. D. Increasing frame rate increases bandwidth use. Question 27. In terms of disaster recovery, ISDA White wants to ensure quick failover of delivery controllers with minimal user impact. What design is best? A. UGLB with health checks and automatic failover. B. Deploy a single controller with backup. C. Rely on manual DNS switching during Opta. D. Use round robin DNS for controller load balancing. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation GLB with health checks automatically routes users to healthy sites, minimizing downtime. B. Single controller risks full outage. C. Manual DNS switching is slow and error-prone. D. Round-robin ENS doesn't consider site health. Question 20. Under the assumption that persistent desktops are needed but storage costs are a concern, which option balances personalization and resource use? A. Use non-persistent desktops with user profile disks. B. Deploy full persistent desktops for all users. C. Use shared hosted XenApp apps only. D. Enable local profiles with mandatory policies. Answer. Correct answer. A. Explanation. Non-persistent desktops with user profile disks provide personalization while minimizing storage footprint versus full persistent desktops. B. Full persistent desktops consume much storage. C. Apps-only solutions don't offer full desktop. D. Local profiles lack roaming and are not recommended. Question 29. From multiple perspectives, Alan needs to secure data in transit between users and XenApp servers. What feature best ensures this? A. Enable secure ICOCs with TLS encryption. B. Use plain ICO protocol to reduce latency. C. Implement HTTP early connections for storefront. D. Disable ICA encryption to improve performance. Answer. Correct answer. D. Explanation. Disabling encryption exposes data to interception, violating security best practices. A secure ICA with TLS ensures data protection in transit. B. Plain ICA lacks encryption. Say CHP is unencrypted. T preferred. Therefore, A is correct. D incorrect. Question 30. In light of recent developments, Ista Garcia is designing a printing solution that must support BIOD environments with minimal driver conflicts. Which approach is recommended? A. Deploy Citrix Universal Print Server with universal drivers. B. Install all printer drivers on VDAS manually. C. Disable printing redirection on all clients. D. Use native client-side printer drivers only. Answer. Correct answer. C. Explanation. Disabling printing eliminates user functionality. A. Ups with universal drivers reduces conflicts and supports BIOD best. B. Installing all drivers leads to bloat and conflicts. D. Native client drivers may cause compatibility issues. So A is correct. C is incorrect.